We're talking about the situation with OSHA, the Biden administration right now. And we want to bring in our guest right now because the president obviously has been pushing this OSHA situation. Bethesda Employment Law Group, Paley Rothman's president, Jim Hammerschmidt, joins us now to talk more about it. Jim, good to see you this morning. I appreciate you being with us early this morning. A lot of people are just wondering with this happening if there's any recourse from a legal standpoint.
Good morning, Steve. Good to be with you. I think that there will certainly be challenges to this. There may be challenges from individual workers. There's certainly going to be challenges from state governments. Governor DeSantis of Florida has already indicated that they are going to challenge this law. They challenged the federal mandate that the Biden administration issued a couple weeks ago. So there are going to be challenges, and we're going to see if this thing's going to hold up or not.
What do you see as I mean, I know employers certainly have their concerns, and a lot of that might be cost-based if the employer has to pick up the cost of testing, for example. But from a legal standpoint, what do you think are the biggest concerns or perhaps the biggest loopholes that a lawsuit or a challenge might be able to take advantage of?
Well, the big question is whether or not the federal government can roll out health policy under the guise of OSHA regulations. And the states, Ron DeSantis again, and other states are looking at constitutional issues. They're looking at privacy issues. Does one's right to control what one puts in his or her body trump the ability of the federal government to look at the overall health policy of the country and the overall health and welfare of the country? So it's going to pit, federal government abilities to roll out a health policy against individual privacy concerns.
If an employee or an employer, more likely in this case, came to you and said, Jim, I need some advisement in this case, do I just follow the law now, wait for a challenge? Do I try to challenge it myself? What do you think is the best advice?
Well, look, I mean, it's a long road for an individual to challenge a mandate, something like this. I mean, if an individual is coming to me, I'm going to talk to them about whether or not they have a sincerely held religious belief that might be the basis to request an accommodation. See if they have a medical condition that might be a basis for an accommodation as well. If they don't have an accommodation, the recommendation is going to be that they're going to need to follow this new mandate. Now, mind you, the mandate does not require that one get vaccinated. There is the alternative, and that is that you can submit to a weekly testing if you're an employee, and that you wear a face mask in the workplace. That's what the law is going to require. It's a vaccine mandate, but there are all alternatives for an employee who wishes to undergo weekly testing instead of getting vaccinated. So there are options. For an employer, the employer has to comply with this mandate until a successful challenge happens. So an employer has to begin to look at two dates: December 4th, which is the date to roll out a whole bunch of the requirements, the testing requirements, getting your policies and practices in order, et cetera, et cetera. And then, of course, by January 5th, that's the date when workers have to either be vaccinated or go to the weekly testing regime. So as a guiding an employer, we're looking at two dates. One, pretty quick, December 4th, which is to get all the policies and practices in order and find out who in your workforce is vaccinated. And then January 4th, right, of course, you have to make tough decisions about employees that are unvaccinated.
Talking about the new OSHA rules on vaccine mandates with Paley Rothman President Jim Hammerschmidt. Jim, we'll have to leave it there for now. Appreciate you joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you very much, Steve. My pleasure.
All right, you're welcome.